Yeah, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail at the beginning here. I don't think we need to do welcome. We'll just take you through a progress overview and discuss some of the elements related to that, and go through the minutes from last meetings. So from the last meetings, these were the key sort of action points that came out, Christoph. So the climate information was sent through. The Malaba River weir location we've received from Jessica. These KMZs, I forgot to actually send them to Benjamin, but I've sent them through this morning, so that should be done. And then this confirmation of the one road where there's a culvert present. I don't think we've got that back from Benjamin. And then schedule the progress meeting that was done by Cornelia. The next elements I'm not going to touch on in too much detail. Here's the sort of location related to the site, which I think you're familiar with. I'm not going to go through that in too much detail. I'm not going to go through the climate change stuff. This is the setup that the hydrology is based on. I'm not going to go through that in too much detail. All right, so from our perspective, and what we did is we did get the survey points, and we have now got satellite data for this entire area over here. So we'll be using the satellite data, which looks more much better detailed than the 30-meter DEM. And then I'll also discuss some of the observations related to the survey points versus the DEM. The rainfall data, I think we went through last time. So we've been using Meteomatics. There were differences in the EVAs related to that. We're going to bias correct the chirps data for the entire catchment with the information that we've got from the site-based Meteomatics information. You can see that the chirps data, the EVA, when you have a look at the return periods at 1 and 200 years is 96, which is just too low. When we went through the Meteomatics data, we got a much more realistic representation for this Tororo area of 289 millimeters, which is in line with what we see regionally. These were the disaggregations to the 24-hour, 12-hour, and 6-hour rainfall events for time and concentration on site. This is the weir location over here. So here's site here. So this Malaba River that flows down, flows past here and intersects with this bridge over here. So that's the measurement we're site and location there. So it's actually quite close to site. It's about 9 kilometers away from site, which is not too bad. So that's good news. So we can use that for our hydrological modeling. If we have a look at the hydrological model set up in terms of the catchment configuration, that's where the location of that site is. So it'll be a good calibration point related to that, and it also gives us a good estimate of EVAs from the flow perspective. So that's quite nice. Cross-section data, we don't need that. There's not really any constriction points. This is the site information, which I've already showed you previously, which is the clay contents, the silt contents, the sand content, coarse fragments, and that's been captured into total infiltration for the site in this particular case. This is the land use information, which shows us the land cover related to that. You can see that the majority of that is grassland in that area, with some tree cover and shrubland as well. In terms of Manning's M numbers, that's the Manning's M numbers, which we'll use in the hydrology. So that's kind of been set up. This is the hydrological model, which we can now run with the managed rainfall. We haven't quite run that yet, but we are in the process of doing it and getting the information to that particular site that we're looking at. So it'll give us a nice calibration comparison. And then, yeah, I'm not going to go through that. The flow analysis in terms of the EVA, what we've seen is that the 1 in 200-year return period from measured data will be in the region of 150 meters cubed per second. That 150 meters cubed per second coming into site over here will come into the top end of the site from the river perspective, and we don't anticipate it causing any flooding to site. It looks like it's high enough above there to be okay. So this is the smaller hydrological model, which is just set up to get the inflows to these areas across above site. So there's three sort of streams that come through the site itself. So that's been set up and ready to run. The meshing is on the way now. I'll discuss that in a second. So we're in the process of doing that. So these were the survey points that we got. So these are site surveyed points. So we're assuming that they are very accurate for the region or area. And what we did is we then took that area and we compared it to the satellite information that we got. So what was quite interesting was from the detailed satellite information. So we've got a 3-meter resolution satellite image. And then what we did is we compared the satellite generated DTM to the surveyed points DTM. And what we discovered is that there is a bias across the DTM of roughly 4.5 meters. So we actually corrected the bias in that and then compared the overall sort of accuracy related to that. So there's a shift in your absolute measurement, if you like, of around about 4.5 meters. And then for most of the site over here, you can see it's these sort of values that you've got over here between 0.5 and negative 0.5 and 5. So for the majority of the site, the satellite actually does quite well in terms of relative setup over here, with the most of it being within 50 centimeters of the actual measured data. And then there are some anomalies that we get. So this area over here, which is a kind of basin that's out, it doesn't seem to do quite as well. So it seems to be further out when you get big physical features that pop up. So that's quite interesting to see. So what we've done is obviously the survey data is the most accurate, but we've embedded the survey data into the latest Maxmar data sets related to that. So this first thing that we did is adjust adjust the original DTM that we got from satellite, and we bias corrected it according to what we received on site. And then what you see over here is the comparison. This is the satellite image information. And here you'll see that this was the site surveyed information embedded into the original satellite at 30 meters. And we've done the same thing over here, and you can see that the surveyed data fits very nicely into the actual overall sort of coverage over here. So we'll be using this to generate the grid now. So that's well set in place. And this is the grid that Sayuri has generated related to that. The red area is the original site section. These are inflows from those smaller rivers. We also need to put an inflow over here from the larger Iganga River. And then this is the outflow point, which possibly needs to be a bit lower actually on the set out. So we'll do that. So we're in the process of setting up the grids and getting the finalized grid representation associated with that. That's what the mesh looks like at the moment related to these elements. The various sort of road features and stuff like that and building features have been done at a high resolution gridding setup. And yeah, this is just kind of the overall sort of mesh that we've got running related to that. So we're very close to being able to run the 2D model simulations on this. So that's where we are at the moment. We haven't got any results yet, but yeah, we should be running that next week to get those going. The climate change components, I'm not going to take you through this, you know where these are. Just to highlight one element related to this is the bias correction. So um, I'm going to show you not bias correction, correction for the climate change perturbation of the um, climate variables associated with that. So this is the percentage overall change in terms of total precipitation. So you can see that in this medium term, 8.5, we're looking at a change of 7.4% in terms of the total rainfall change. And then on that same one, we're looking at the 95th percentile maximum rainfall change over here at 31.5. And what we do is we set up and we adjust the entire data set with changes related to that, either up or down compared to the original recorded values that we've got in history. And what you see over there is that's that 7.4% change in terms of the total overall runoff. So it actually increases. And then what you see over here is that the maximum rainfall we've got increasing to 31.5%. And then the average rainfall associated with that, some of your lower events will get reduced by around about 19% associated with that. So we get more variability in the rainfall. I'm not going to go through these assumptions. They're pretty much the same as what we've done previously. We've got what we've required now. There are no large structures to impede flow on this section, so I think that's fine. We've got the rainfall with the Met Meteo stuff, so I think we're happy with that. This is roughly where we are at the moment. We've actually done some of the grid stuff, so we've run this in parallel. We're about to finalize the hydrological comparisons and simulations, and then once we've done that, we'll start the 2D simulations on site. So we'll combine those two together, and hopefully that should be out in the next 2 weeks or so. Yeah, and delays and concerns are pretty much the same. There's no requirements from survey data in this particular setup for Tororo. So that covers that. Have you got any questions at the moment, Christoph?
Thank you for this presentation. No specific question. Everything is working, and I'm very pleased with this work and your responsiveness also, and the overall communication between EcoSources and us, Total Energy. So thank you for that.
Excellent. Okay, no, that's great. All right, I'm going to take you just onto Iganga because it's virtually the same thing. I'm not going to discuss everything that we've already gone through in terms of this. So Iganga site, again, similar scenario. We've got information, we've got the satellite information, and we've actually captured that into these sections over here. The EVAs and everything have been done and sort of completed. We've also done the rainfall disaggregation for this particular areas, calculated the times of concentrations. I guess the only element that is still sort of a little bit of a concern in this particular setup is we've actually set up the grid and run the hydrology already with these with the setups So here's the grid, here's the information, these are the setouts, but the only things that we're missing are these structures over here. Um, and we need to get those either surveyed or get some photographs of them so that we can estimate them. Other than that, we've done the climate change, we've fixed the elements, we've got those running. Those have also been changed according to that. You can see that this is slightly different. We're still getting the overall 7.4% increase in the 31, but you'll see that the rainfall has not been adjusted quite as heavily in the lower parts of the spectrum over here. Um, I just wanted to, yeah, we've got various hydrographs coming through. So the hydrology and the hydrographs that are feeding into this area are defined. So we're ready to kind of run. It's just and we've done the gridding. The only thing that we require is information on these structures over here. And what we can do is estimate that information at the moment, but it would be preferable if we could get the actual um, survey data if they'd actually managed to do that. Now it's my fault that I didn't get that information to Benjamin earlier. I had sent through previous sort of suggestions on survey sites previous to that, but I've resent that information now, Christoph, and if they could have a look at it, then that would be good. If they can't, then we can make some assumptions on those structures and uh, begin from that because we can get an idea of the size of the structures from the satellite data because we can see the where it intercepts with the roadside and what sort of culverts, etc., are coming through at the base of those structures. And then last, but the same thing we've captured in all of the coefficients and infiltrations here, the same as the previous site. And then I think the elements related to this is I was hoping to have some results for you today, at least without the structure simulations. We haven't quite got there yet, but we're roughly probably about a week away from actually uh, um, completing the hydrodynamic simulations and completing that. And this section over here, we've actually finalized the climate change impacts related to that.
Okay, thank you.
I see that Julian's joined us now here.
Yeah,
Hi, Julian.
at the end.
Yes, good morning all. I'm very sorry. I understand this is the end of the presentation.
Yes.
Yes, but no worry. Jason recorded the presentation, so you can
Okay.
watch it after if you want.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Right. Yeah. So, Julian, I think the just to summarize very quickly, Tororo, we've got all of the information in that we require. We're running the hydrology at the moment, and once that's done, we'll be able to run the 2D simulations. So that's progressing quite well. We've already got the 2D grid. There were some comparisons with the satellite and survey point data, which I think are quite interesting. So, yeah, if you just listen to those, I think you'll get some idea. But we're quite encouraged by the accuracy of the satellite data. It seems to be pretty good in general, I think. So that's quite encouraging compared to the survey data. So that we should be going and Jessica has given us that location. So we have got the information that we need to calibrate the hydrology model. So we're in the process of running that. In Ganga, we still the element that is still outstanding related to that is um, essentially these structures over here, these road crossings. We need to understand what if there's culverts there or if they're sort of dips or drifts. We know these are culverts here, and they can cause a backwater effect. So we're needing some information related to that. And I know that there were problems getting to site to survey that, but it is also relevant to realize that these are actually public access. The one's the railway, the other one's the road here in this road. So we don't think that there should be an impediment for you being able to access these areas and survey those. And I just wanted to find out if there's any additional information to that, or if you would like us to just estimate what those constrictions look like. But we'd obviously prefer to have actual data, and if not data like that, at least a photograph with some sort of measurements so that we can actually conceptualize it.
Okay, noted. I understand the satellite data doesn't provide enough information regarding this infrastructure. We cannot assess the characteristics of the roads or things like this. You need photography, things over elements, correct?
Yes, yeah. So the satellite actually gives us a reasonable idea of the road top, but we don't know what the bridge structure or culvert structures look like, and
Okay.
that we need. So we need to understand what those culverts are. I mean, they could be large square sort of openings, or they could be pipes. We don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Clear for me. We are still discussing with landowners for the topographic survey. So once once we have the agreement of the landowners, we will send back the topography company consultant, and they will take some picture of the infrastructure. Hopefully, I think it could be done maybe in the 2 coming weeks. I hope. I'm not sure, but we are trying to have an agreement with the landowner.
Okay. Right. So from our side, we're ready to go. Sunset information. So in actual fact, you might find that we complete Tororo before Iganga, because the Tororo we've got the information that we need there. Excellent.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, and you'll get all of this information, and we'll send you through the video so you can have a look at it. We'll load that up onto YouTube for you because it's the easiest compression, I think, to have a look at it. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, that covers everything from my perspective. I don't know whether there's anything else that you'd like to discuss.
Maybe one question for Cornelia regarding the invoicing. Not sure if the payment was done. I know you had a question about this. Do you know if it's okay or not?
I don't think we've received it yet. There was some action on the system, but I don't think we've received the payment yet. We'd have to check with our financial lady, but I don't think so.
Yeah, we haven't received the payment yet, but I did see that they'd processed it through some. So I think the purchase orders and everything had gone through. So, yeah, Julian, we haven't received payment for that yet. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I will check what is blocking the payment.
Thank you.
Perfect. That's brilliant. Thanks. Yeah. Great. And then next meeting, can we set that for 2 weeks' time again? Or would you like a bit longer?
So we're
It's okay for me.
looking like middle July, the week of the 17th, or
The week of
the week of the 11th.
Yeah.
The 11th is better for me.
Okay. I'm available on the 11th around about this time as well. Cornelia.
Same for me.
Okay. All right.
Perfect. All right,
I'll
great.
do that.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. So from Total Energy side, we are going to ask if more information are available about the different infrastructures, roads in the north part and the one on the south part also. So if we are able to provide you more information from maybe the survey, topographic survey.
Perfect. That's great. Yeah. I did send through a KMZ related to that, Christoph. So yeah, if you have a look at that, that's got the points that I think needed to be surveyed.
Okay,
Right.
perfect.
Perfect. All right. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Yes. Have a great day, everybody.
you.
Cheerio.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.